Hey everybody,
Hello.
welcome to Tuesdays in the Shop. I'm Yvette.
I'm Andrea.
And we're coming to you from Gotham Quilts in New York City. And today we are so excited. We sneak peeked. Is that even a verb? No, it's not.
But whatever.
We sneak peeked these blocks a couple weeks ago on the live where we were picking the background fabric for this quilt.
Sashing.
Oh yeah, I did not say the right thing. The background, the sashing fabric. So you may remember that we had been auditioning different fabrics to use once we finished the applique blocks because we had to pick the sashing fabric. And we did a whole video with 15 different options.
None of which was this one.
Didn't pick any of them and ended up with this color instead, which I think came out.
I love it.
So good. And then our extraordinary Jen put it together
in like a day.
Yeah, she's really like a superwoman. And now we're launching this as our next block of the month. And it's been a minute since we've had a new block of the month
to announce.
It has
been, yeah.
Because we've just had so much stuff going on. And
we don't have one going on currently at all. We have none.
Right, because the last one just finished,
yep.
right? And most of the time we have 2 or 3 running at the same time,
yeah.
right? So for us, it was like a little bit of a lull. And I think some of you who joined most of our block of the months maybe noticed that there was a lull. But it's been a weird year. It's been a weird summer.
Yeah.
So forgive us for not having more new cool things to do, but we're back.
Yes.
And I feel like this one is...
I love it.
Maybe the best one we've done yet.
There's been some really good ones, but this one is up there. Yeah.
And in general, applique is not everyone's cup of tea. Like we get that for quilters. Some people hear the word applique, they go running in the other direction.
Even I can do this kind of applique.
So when we looked at this pattern, like this is a relatively new pattern that Tamara Kate came out with 6 months ago, let's say. And when I looked at it, my first thought was, is this needle turn? Because I love doing needle turn. That's the hand stitched version, right? And we did do a block of the month years ago with needle turn as the technique.
Which was also gorgeous.
And when I got the pattern to check out and it was fused applique, I thought to myself, well, that's easier, right? Fused applique means you fuse a double layer fusible on the back with an iron, and then you fuse it onto the fabric, and then you stitch around it to hold it down. In this pattern, she actually has you fuse them and then not stitch them down until you go to quilt. So you would fuse the blocks, attach them with the sashing, and then when you sandwich for the quilting, you're stitching around those applique shapes to hold them down.
Should we hold it a little closer to the camera?
Yeah, we could definitely do that. Yeah, you could bring it down. And so when Jen and I are like the applique people, Andrew's not so into applique. We were talking about like, would this be a cool block of the month? How would we do it? Because the pattern isn't written as a block of the month.
Red one here. So these pieces are just fused on, and then during quilting, they're sewn around, around the edges here.
So when Jen and I started considering doing this quilt as a block of the month, we were trying to break down like, how would we run it? How many shipments? How would we teach it, right? Because my first thought with this is that this is a really good teaching project. If you want to learn applique, this one is very beginner friendly because these shapes are not specific shapes, right? Like if you cut this slightly different, no one's gonna notice.
You know, you're a little too short on one or whatever. It's
like
no
these
one
aren't
is gonna
even
know.
Circles. These are like weird
exactly,
blobs.
even better.
So if your weird blob is a slightly different shape than my weird blob,
so what?
No one would ever know. This is the term, even in the pattern says these are organic shapes, right? They're inspired by nature. They're inspired by flowers, but none of them is like a tulip or a rose where it representationally has to look like a thing, which means it's like the best case scenario when you're learning a technique because it is so flexible. It is so, what's the word for?
Forgiving.
Forgiving, that's the word I was looking for. So once we got to that stage, Jen and I were thinking about, well, could we do this with needle turn? Because just the two of us really like needle turn. And that's when we came up with what we decided to do in the end, which is we're going to teach both techniques as part of this block of the month. So when you join the block of the month, actually not when you join, when the block of the month starts, this is launching in November. But signups opened up today. If you're on our mailing list, you already got an email saying that signups are open, but we're doing this live so we can give you more information about how it works, what you're going to get, and some of the add-on items that we've suggested. You don't have to buy any of the add-ons if you don't want to, but they do make your life easier. So what we decided to do is that as part of this block of the month, we're going to pre-record tutorial videos for the 2 different applique techniques, for fused applique done by machine and quilted and stitched in the quilting step. So the way that the original pattern, Lovely Day, was written by Tamara Kate. So a whole set of videos that you can watch at your own pace on demand on the community website, which is where we host all the virtual learning that we have. Same place that you've used before to access Stitch Lab, or if you went to the retreat last time, or if you're attending a thread talk, all of that is all hosted in the community site. This will be too. And we're recording them ahead of time so that you can watch them at your own pace. You could watch it like 6 times if you want to. So a whole set of videos for this original technique, which is the fused machine applique, and then a whole nother set of videos for needle turn. So if you want to do it by hand instead of doing it by machine fused, you can learn how to do that from start to finish also. Jen will teach those, and I'm going to teach the fused ones. Well, you could also combine the 2. So like maybe you do a couple of blocks one way, a couple of blocks the other way. If you've never done either kind of applique before, this is a good time to learn both
try
techniques.
it out.
We actually did, Jen needle turned all the ones on the white background, and I fused all the ones on the colored backgrounds. I absolutely got the easier job out of those 2.
But they look totally fine. Combining the 2 methods.
You wouldn't be able to know if you didn't look at it really closely that they're done differently.
But even if you do look, I mean, I'm pretty close. I can tell. But it's totally fine. Like it's not weird. It's
and it's not something you would normally do on a quilt. You wouldn't normally use one kind of technique in one half and the other kind on the other half, but you could, especially if you're doing it because you want to learn. Or like theoretically, you could make 2. Make one with these colors and these fabrics in the one technique, and make a second one with different fabrics from your stash in the other technique.
Or you try the needle turn, you do a couple that way, you get tired of it, do the rest fused.
Oh yeah. You know, I always suggest to people that you learn every technique you can come across. You never have to do it again. But it's in your wheelhouse then. And then if you come across a pattern that absolutely has to be done with foundation paper piecing or whatever it is, then at least you have the choice to make it at that point, right? So that's what I always suggest for customers.
You know you hate it and you don't want to make that pattern.
So our customer Ellen, she hates applique. And when I told her about this quilt, she was like, nope, never gonna happen. And I'm like, are you sure? Like maybe we can convince you. So I'm working on her. So yeah, this starts in November, and there's only going to be 3 shipments. In the first shipment in November, you get the fabric and all the fabric for 6 of the blocks. And then you have 2 months to fuse or needle turn those 3 blocks. 6 blocks. Then you get another shipment in January. Oh, and by the way, we started in November because we had this feeling like if you had already received it by the time the holidays roll around, you could like get started a little bit, and maybe, you know, that week between Christmas and New Year's that usually has a lot of downtime and like watching TV and hanging out in the living room. Pull it out.
A great project for sitting in front of the TV or hanging out with your family, so you can be doing something with your hands and, you know, but still socialize or, you know, watch whatever.
So you'll be making the first 2 blocks, November, December. And sorry, first 6 blocks. I don't know why I cannot say numbers out loud today. And then the next shipment comes in January with the next 6 blocks, right? This is a 12 block quilt. And the third shipment, which is March, gives you the sashing and the binding, and that's when you finish. However, we couldn't just leave well enough alone as usual. So we are actually offering 2 sizes of this block of the month. This is the original Lovely Day, the way that Tamara Kate wrote the pattern. And I just realized I didn't cue this up. So
it is it's a little small. So you can get a picture of like me standing next to it. What was it? 40?
It's 41 by 56.
Yeah, 41 by 56. So it's not small, but if you're trying to put it on a bed, it is a little small for that. But it is a smaller size throw.
Right.
But if you want to cuddle on the couch with someone else, it's probably not big enough for that.
Yeah, I think of this as like a really good size for a wall hanging or like a lap quilt.
Or even a topper on a twin size bed or something like that.
I didn't even think about that.
Because it wouldn't cover the whole bed, but it, you know, the bottom part or something like that.
But as we were working on it, we thought this is so beautiful, and it's kind of ridiculous to say something that we made is so beautiful. But like every once in a while we make something that I just keep staring at like,
It's true. Yeah.
Wow, this one came out really good.
Yeah.
And that's how we feel about this one. So what I'm showing you on the screen now is a bigger version of it. So basically what we did is we have you making the same 12 blocks twice instead of just once for the 3x4 layout. So every block gets made twice. That means you have 24 blocks. Then you pick your favorite and you make that one a third time. And that'll give you 25 blocks, and you can do a 5x5 layout like we have shown here.
Which I think comes out to 66.
66 inches square, which is a great throw size for on
Yeah,
the
that's a
couch. You
good
can
generous
cuddle
throw.
underneath it. Yeah. So you can pick whichever size works for you, the way you used your quilts, the way, if you're going to give it as a gift. So many of us make quilts as gifts, right? So you could pick the one that works for you. In both cases, there are only 3 shipments. So if you're making the bigger size, you'd be making
12
2
blocks.
of the 6 original first blocks and 2 of the second set of 6 blocks in each of those shipments.
Right.
So hopefully I didn't just confuse everybody by saying that.
But you can take as much time as you need.
Absolutely.
You don't have to finish during those.
Because the
6
videos
months
will
or
be
whatever.
available forever, or like as long as the internet lives.
So
you never know what's
take your
happen.
time. Don't you don't have to rush.
And we have people making block of the months from years ago, like
Sure.
sending us emails.
I get questions, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just making this.
No pressure. You do not have to make it in that time period, but if you want to, that's the time period. So 3 shipments, November, January, and March. And 2 sizes, this original size, and we're calling the big one the XL size. So Lovely Day regular, Lovely Day XL.
We have backing options for both. We have 2 different backing options.
And Andrea just picked these fabrics out. They are so perfect.
So one is, let me hold it up close. I'm not sure how well you can see. So it's a little honeycomb pattern in a nice warm gold. So you can see kind of how that looks here.
It goes really nicely with this fabric.
It's not one of the fabrics that's used in the quilt. This one is pretty much the same color, but this one is not available any longer. So this I thought was a good substitute.
But I love that it's a honeycomb because this is all flowers and stuff, right? So like honeybees goes perfect.
Yes, exactly. And, a little honeycomb, what's not to like about that? The second option is Deco Stitch in Orchid Berry. Let me hold that one up too. So this is just one of those blenders that we really like.
That color.
It's so useful. And
it's
the
just
color
such a beautiful fuchsia.
So this one actually is used in the top. Oh yeah, it's this one here.
Oh, right.
And a couple of these smaller pieces. It also pretty much matches the solid that's here and also used on the binding. So that one is basically going to match the binding.
Yeah. I like that one better, but I'm a pink girl. I always like pink better.
But so this way, people that aren't pink people or purple people, this one's sort of a pinky purpley. You could call it either one.
Fuchsia.
I think that, yes, there you go. So if you don't like this one, you can go with the yellow, the nice warm golden yellow version, which we're calling honey, or the orchid berry. So we've got 2 options, and we have them in the regular size and the XL.
Yeah. So when you're signing up, we will validate what you pick. So like if you accidentally pick a regular size block of the month and the double size backing, we'll fix that for you. Don't worry.
Or we'll check with you to make sure that's what you intend.
Yeah, that's true.
Because people sometimes do. There was a customer today that ordered 2 backings, but she
that's true. I checked
wanted
to see if that was a mistake. Yep. So that's like the main add-on that we almost always, for almost all the block of the months we always pretty much always offer a backing, because if you can get it to perfectly match, why wouldn't you want that, right?
Yeah. And then it's one less thing you have to worry about.
Yes, exactly. And the block of the month subscription, you get the instructions, the videos, all the fabric for the top and binding, and you also get the fusible that you need to do the fused applique version. We have a couple of add-on options listed. I'm going to put the QR code on the screen if you want to start looking at all the details. The first add-on item that we're suggesting is actually my favorite applique scissors. These are the Karen K. Buckley. Man, my voice today, like
Karen K. Buckley.
Yeah, Karen
Perfect scissors.
K. Buckley, 6-inch perfect scissors. I love that it has this little point protector because it is actually super pointy, which is what you want when you're cutting little details. But what's really cool about these scissors, I don't know how much you can see, but they have a little serrated edge here. So in this particular quilt, you aren't really going to be cutting multiple layers of fabric at once.
It's still helpful.
Right. But in some like this isn't the only time you're going to use these scissors, right?
Yeah.
So if you do in the future have a situation where you have a couple layers that you're cutting at the same time, these serrated edges really grip what you're cutting, so they don't tend to shift. If you've ever tried to cut multiple layers of paper or fabric before, you know that you tend to do this when you're cutting, right? Yeah, these are fabulous scissors. The other really cool thing about these are lefty and righty. You don't have to, we don't have two different versions. It doesn't matter if you're a lefty, you can use this without any trouble. And I like how the hand is really big.
Yeah.
So you don't feel like you're like really gripping.
Squeezing your fingers into a little thing.
So this is the number one suggested add-on that we have. And this works for both, whether you're doing the fused version or the needle turn version, because you're going to have to cut out your fabric either way, right?
Those are also great. Last week we showed you the Mariana fabric with the outside the blocks, where you're cutting very exact, tiny
I
things.
didn't even realize that we did applique 2 weeks in a row, basically.
The serrated blade, it makes getting those precise details so much easier.
Like, this is a pleasure to cut
grips.
with. And everyone knows I have bad hands, I think, at this point. These scissors I don't get so tired using. These really and the spring-loaded ones, those are the best ones for cutting little detailed things. Yeah. So this is one of the suggested add-ons. If you'd like to buy, we suggest this. These are the best scissors for applique. This is
any fine detail cutting, really.
Yeah, that's true. This is another one of our suggested add-ons, but this one you really only need for needle turn.
Although it's useful for all kinds of things. I mean, I don't do needle turn applique, and I use this all the time.
Oh, I just mean for fusing.
This project.
Yeah, for this project, right? So this is Andrea's favorite marking tool. This is a tricolor marking pen from Soline. So when you turn, it changes the graphite blade,
which is actually ceramic.
Oh, ceramic. It's not graphite. You're right. So it has white, pink, and black in the same pen. So what I love about
every color fabric is covered.
Right. And that means you only have to find one thing in the mess of your sewing room.
Exactly.
You don't have to find the right pen. You just have to find this one pen, and it'll have every color
and
you
need. Can refill the leads when they run out. So this, this is going to last for a long time.
And it has an eraser on the back to erase the lines. This is a really great marking tool. So this is one of the other add-on items that we have. We also have put together a needle turn applique add-on. I can show that on the screen too.
With some matching threads that Jen has picked out.
Yeah, so that one is, if you haven't done needle turn before, share this tab. Did it pop up? No, it did not. Okay, so if you haven't done needle turn before, oh, there's that pencil I just showed you. This is the pack that Jen has put together to go for this design specifically. So you're getting a pack of darners. The Sue Spargo darners are Jen's favorite needles for the needle turn stitching, the applique part. This awesome tricolor pen that we just talked about, and then a set of 5 Aurifil 50 weight small spools, which are the perfect colors for doing the applique. It's easier to get a nice result when you're doing needle turn applique if you match the color of the applique fabric. So Jen has handpicked these colors to go with this project. And if you'd like to pick this up, if you're going to try the needle turn, then we have it all put together for you. All the add-on items will ship with the November shipment, assuming nothing weird happens, which sometimes something weird happens.
We never know.
Assuming nothing weird happens, the plan is they will all ship in November. And so those are some of the add-on items. One of the other add-on items you'll see if you do scan the QR code and go look at all the stuff we've listed for this block of the month is actually warm and white batting. And normally we don't suggest batting when we're selling a block of the month because everybody knows you need batting. Most people don't buy batting when they buy the kit. They do that at the end, right? However, in this quilt, because there are white background blocks, the batting that you use does kind of make a difference in the sense of showing the work that you've done. And you've done so much work when you do applique, right? You want the best result possible.
Yeah, you want the whites to stay white.
Right. So you may not know this, but you can buy bleached batting. So this is a piece of regular warm and natural wool batting. This is a piece of warm and white wool batting. Can you see the very different? This is really white, and this is like a natural white. I'm trying to make it more visible on the camera for you because we have a light on this side, so maybe that would be easier. You wouldn't think that this would make as big a difference, but we picked up a white with a print fabric, and I'm going to put it on top of the two. And I'm going to hold it up and you tell me if you can see it.
Yeah.
Because in real life, we can see it.
Yes. And in most cases, it doesn't matter which one you use. But if you're using white fabric in your top, you will notice a difference.
I'm not sure this is showing up at all on the camera. And I'll go as close as I can. So this is the natural. And this is the white.
Yeah.
I might have to take
person,
pictures so that you'll believe me. See if it shows. Now, it really doesn't.
It makes the whites look dingier. And like she said, you've put all this work into it. You want to make it look as good as possible. And you don't want the batting to be the thing that you're disappointed with later.
Right. Yeah. So that's why we're suggesting warm and white. All the add-on items that we've listed, we've put on 10% off as part of your Black of the Month goodies and benefits. I wish this had shown up better. I might take a picture and put it on the website, but that's why we are suggesting the batting, which we've never done before for a Black of the Month.
In this case, it actually makes a difference.
And also, it's not the easiest thing to find the bleached white batting, so we figured we'd offer that. And what else were we going to show? Oh, I know.
The light box.
So the last thing we're going to show, I don't have the light box that I put in as an add-on item in the list. I have my own light box, which, if you don't know what a light box is, this is what a light box is. It's a very thin tablet that has usually it's LED. And in this case, you can change the
brightness
of it. And the point of this is so that you can put whatever you're tracing on top and be able to see what you're doing.
You can also cut right on
top. So this one has
a clear
cutting mat on top. I brought this one into the video just because this is what I own. This is a Caterpillar Glow. This is what we used to sell 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
But these are pretty expensive. This is like a $200 cutting mat, light box.
Slash cutting mat.
People didn't buy them very much, which I don't blame them because this isn't like a need to have. This is a nice to have and like a $200 nice to have. So what I did is I went and found a less expensive light box that's available on the market from Nifty Notions. And that's the one we are suggesting for this Block of the Month because all the pieces in the Block of the Month, the pieces are no bigger than a regular letter size piece of paper. So you don't need a cutting mat.
A giant cutting mat.
Light box this big. This is like a 20-inch, 16 by whatever.
Yeah.
Right? You don't need this size. You don't need to spend this kind of money. So we went and found
it's
a
actually
little
exactly half this size.
Yeah.
Which is still enough for what you need for this and for most things, really.
Right. So for those who are considering doing the needle turn part, you really don't need this I guess it would help too for the fused.
I think it would.
Yeah, I take it back. It would be helpful for both techniques because you do have to trace the pattern.
And then if you use the light box, you don't have to cut it out before you trace it. You can just put the fabric on top and trace it.
Well, for fused, you're tracing onto the fusible.
Oh, right. You're tracing onto the paper, which you can already see through.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this would help.
Well,
when I traced it, I didn't use my light box because the light box was at the store and I was at home. So I just used a sheet of paper underneath, and you can also attach it to your window or something like that.
That's the cheap.
That's like
the student's version.
Right, exactly.
That's
The non-light box version. But the idea of a light box is that it does make it easier to see the thing that you're tracing. So we've found one that is little and is much more affordable than this giant one that I have. And we've added that as a also optional add-on item.
And those of you that haven't tried tracing something on a window, your arms get tired very quickly.
Yeah. If you're going to try that, I suggest adding more tape than you think you need.
Because you will need to rest.
Yeah. And it's actually pretty handy to put tape, even if you're using like a light box situation.
Yeah.
And so what Andrea was mentioning is that this one comes with a cutting mat on top, and so does the one that we're suggesting for the Block of the Month. It has
These
a
are great
removable
for foundation paper piecing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of thing where if you have it, you're going to use it all the time.
Yeah, you'll find uses for it.
But you don't
sure.
need it. It's just nice. It's nice to have. It makes your life easier.
I would like one. I'll admit.
Do you not have one at
No,
home?
I don't.
Oh, well,
I just use this one when I've needed it.
Yeah, so this was my personal one that a lot of the things we sell in the store, one of us will buy retail first and play with it and decide if we like it. And then if we like it, we start carrying it. And I loved this light box so much that I thought it was going to sell like hotcakes. It did not. People were like, that's a lot of money. I get it. I get it. People don't sew quite as
But
much.
I think
as
this was
repeat.
one of the first on the market, and now there's
Of this
quite
style,
right,
yeah,
of this very thin style. Light boxes used to be, pretty thick
right,
and bulky
with like
and
actual bulbs and
exactly
stuff.
with incandescent bulbs, and that's not the way it is anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure they were the first or one of the very first, and
Yeah.
now there's
This is several
more
years old.
options out there.
And just so you know, both of this kind and the one that the Nifty Notions one, they are rechargeable. So you just plug it into an outlet and then the battery inside charges. So you could unplug it and take it somewhere where you don't have power and use it there.
And it lasts a pretty long time.
Yeah, because it's LED, so it doesn't use a lot of power.
Yeah.
Yep. Do we have anything else we want to say about Lovely Day?
I think we touched on all the things we had out. No, I think we covered it.
I'm really excited about this one. I might have to make another one.
So, yeah, you guys are going to have to fight over this one.
Oh, for the sample.
Because, Jen made half and Yvette made half.
Yep.
But Jen quilted it, so that she might have a leg up on you.
She definitely gets to keep the sample.
You might have to make one yourself, yeah.
What thickness and color thread would you recommend for the quilting? So in general, I recommend 50 weight thread for quilting, not 40 weight because it's thicker and I don't like a thready look. You could even use a 60 weight if you have 60 weight thread, but in general, 50 weight thread.
Don't some people like the thicker thread though, the 40 weight?
Yeah, but they're wrong.
Okay, just asking. I'm not.
Just kidding. It's your quilt. You can do whatever you want. I
wasn't expecting that answer, but okay.
I'm pretending to be the quilt police. Do you all know what the
We're
quilt
not
police
quilt
is?
police.
The quilt police is when you like go to a quilt guild or a quilt
Or a
show,
show, yeah.
and somebody's like, "You use batiks mixed with solids?
These stitches aren't perfectly even."
And it's like they act like it's like there's a law.
Like
that you can't do those things. Neither one of us are like that.
It's your quilt. You do what you like.
Yeah, exactly. I happen to have very strong opinions about machine quilting, but if you want a thicker thread, of course, you should use a thicker thread.
You do you.
Yep. So on this one, I actually think Jen used a 50 weight, or even maybe even a 60 weight.
I can't tell.
And as far as color, this one has so many colors in it that you really could get away with picking any of them. You can never go wrong with like a very pale gray. In Aurifil, it's number 2600. I call it like
I think it's called Dove is the official name.
Yeah, I call it the like go with everything color because it just melts. It doesn't look like anything on any color pretty much.
Yeah, she used a pale peach, I want to say. And
but it looks good.
It does look good. I think it looks pretty good. It does blend in on most, except for, the very bright purplish ones. It blends in very well.
And I could totally see somebody hand quilting this.
Oh, it would be gorgeous.
You could do like big stitch hand quilting in the sashing and maybe just like a little bit of detail on some of the applique. It would look really nice.
It would be gorgeous hand quilted.
And then it's like really thick thread.
Yes.
Does anyone have any other questions for us on this block of the month? We've already gotten several signups, so we can only take about 100 members because one of the fabrics we used is discontinued. We can't get anymore. So it's like, there's this much of that fabric and that's it. That's what determines the maximum sign up. So it's about 100 people for this one, which is roughly the number we normally
Unless
have for
50 people choose the large.
I forgot. Yeah. So the extra large size takes double the fabric, right? Because you're making 25 blocks instead of 24. You're right. If
so far
we can't do 100 people with the XL.
We'll be fine.
Yeah. So if you have any questions, if you think of anything after we go offline, which I would never blame anyone for, because that happens to me every time we go offline, that I'm like, oh, we should have said this.
Yeah.
You can send us an email. Our email address is info@gothamquilts.com or us@gothamquilts. It goes to the same place. And we can't wait. I think we're going to have so much fun. We're going to have all the videos ready soon and let people into the group on the community site, and you all can start interacting with each other even.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be a good one.
Do we have any other
I don't think we do.
Okay.
No, I think we're
I think
pretty normal.
One thing I was going to tell everybody is the fabric collection we showed last week, Mariana, you all bought it all.
Yeah, in like a day.
We are waiting for our reorder.
Yes, we were able to reorder
that same day.
Mm-hmm.
So we've switched all those products on our website to September pre-order because the reorder of fabric will ship like towards the end of this month, and then we'll be able to ship your order out.
So go ahead and place your orders now while you can.
So sorry, we did not anticipate that was going to happen.
People were coming. Oh, I saw the video. I had to come and get it. And buying 5 yards.
So thank you. And also, we're sorry.
Yes. But it's coming back, so you can still get it. You just have to wait a little bit longer.
Yeah, I'm looking at the sample over there, which is what it reminded me.
Yes, I wrote the pattern. I do still have to do the videos for that, though, the tutorials.
Yep.
So those will be coming at some point.
Okay.
Hopefully by the time we can ship the kits, we'll have those ready.
Yeah, so those will ship in like second week of September or something like that.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for joining us for another Tuesdays in the Shop. We hope you like this quilt, maybe like 80% as much as I like it, because I am in love with it, and I just can't get over looking at it. I keep like pulling the picture up on my phone and being like, oh,
really?
It just came out so good.
And
we used to have it hanging on that side of the classroom. And as I was walking up and down, like doing what I had to do, I would be like, it came out really good.
It did.
We make,
very much.
as Jen said, we make beautiful things.
We do. We do.
And you can too.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Same, what is that? Same
time and place.
Time, same bat place.
I don't know.
No, is that not a thing people say? Maybe not. I'm foreign. It's fine.
I don't know. I think that was before our generation.
Yeah, when like Batman was on regular television. Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. Very much not.
You don't need to hear the rest of that conversation.
See you next week, everybody. Thanks for coming.